ready to build resiliency, create a healthy lifestyle, and overcome adversity with a warrior mindset. This is Define the Fight with Mariah Prussia.
Hey everyone, welcome to this fine Monday morning. I am excited. I'm excited every single Monday morning because it just means we get to start our day off, our week off with a bang. But today I'm really excited because my cousin, who I am very, very proud of, is going to be joining me today. She is the head women's basketball coach at Manhattan University, and she strives for greatness not only within herself, but with her athletes and every single person that she leads. So Heather Vulin is an amazing woman, and I look forward for her sharing conversation about women's basketball, how it's changed, and how she is the driver behind her team. So Heather, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mariah. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been, when it comes to life in general, we sometimes are in an individual's life in certain chapters, and then we start turning the pages. We start creating our own family, whether it's from a sports perspective, our own personal family, and then sometimes there's a gap. But I feel like the gap always reunites at some way, shape, or form. And the last time that we actually had a lot of time of seeing each other was way back in college time frame when you were a grad assistant. Mm-hmm. So, yep. So let's talk about your journey with basketball and what led you to now being the head coach at Manhattan, where it's like, okay, here I am. This is my passion. This is my purpose. So what was that driver for you?
So for me, I've been very fortunate. My whole life since I was 14, I've known I wanted to be a college basketball coach at the D1 level. So every decision I've made is to help put me in that position. And fortunately, I've really worked with some incredible coaches along the way, had some incredible mentors along the way that helped prepare me and help me be successful at what I'm doing now, and also carry on some of the values and just traditions that they've instilled in me. So I'm very blessed and very excited to be the head coach at Manhattan. I'm entering my 10th season, which is crazy.
Wow.
Just seems like we moved up here a couple of years ago, but now my son is 6'4", my daughter's 5'6". They're 14 and 11, and definitely it was 10 years ago. They were just little toddlers at my press conference.
That is crazy. And I'm going to circle back to one of your starting points for coaching was grad assistant at NDSU basketball team, which is clearly we're in this neck of the woods. I'm really curious in regards to, I know that was probably not your first mentor, but from a coaching perspective, what were some of the different things that you have learned along the way from different mentors to lead you to where you are today?
Yeah. Well, I'll be very honest. Having the opportunity to work with Amy Ruley, Hall of Fame coach, incredible coach at NDSU, was always a bucket list item for me. I went to her camps when I was younger, absolutely loved them, loved following the team and the program and just the championship culture that they had. So when I was able to become the grad assistant, I really felt that was like the first really big step in my coaching journey, because I knew I was going to be working with just great people, great program, great university. And so that was just an incredible opportunity for me, but also a huge confidence booster for me, knowing that that caliber wanted me to work with them. So Amy and her staff were absolutely phenomenal. Definitely taught me about hard work and being invested in your student athletes. The conference was so much fun to compete in. But like I mentioned, ideally, I always wanted to be at the Division I level, even though I felt at the time when NDSU was Division II that they were actually running at a Division I level in terms of just the quality that they brought to all their athletic programs. So I felt that really prepared me when I did get my first D1 job at Sacred Heart all the way in Connecticut, because of just the excellence that I was already used to working in.
Well, and it's important to be able to define what your goals are. And like you said, at a very young age, you knew that you wanted to be a D1 coach. And a lot of people, it takes time, right? So it takes different experience, job experience, different walks through life to get to that point where defining that. But you knew at a very young age that was your goal. So from NDSU to Sacred Heart to, you were also at Villanova as well, correct?
Yes.
So what were
Yeah, I was there for 7 years. Yeah.
so what were some of the takeaways coaching? Now you're looking at different sizes of schools and then different exposure. What were some of the takeaways from being there that has led you and has helped guide you at Manhattan University?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, even though at the time NDSU was Division II, I felt it was a Division I experience in terms of how the athletic department and the women's basketball program was run. So I felt prepared. I got to Sacred Heart, and they were in a transition period of originally being Division II, had just joined Division I a couple years before that. And so it was just really exciting the 6 years I was there to really help propel us to the top of the conference and get our first NCAA bid. But obviously, like in this profession, um, you have to move at times to put yourself in that next spot that will help you get to your ultimate spot. And so, even though I was very happy at Sacred Heart, I actually met my husband Kevin at Sacred Heart. So, very good to me, Sacred Heart. Um, when I had the opportunity to go to Villanova to be in the Big East, work for Harry Peretta, another coach who I feel will be in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, had over 700 wins. Um, that was just an elite level of basketball, because back when I joined the Big East, it was almost like murderers row. Like, programs were in the Big East at that time. I know there's been a lot of conference alignment, so now it's not in like a Power 5 conference, but or Power 4 now. But basically, it was the conference to be in. So that was just an incredible opportunity. And then Harry Peretta, my head coach that I worked for at Villanova, really built that program from nothing. And that's the same thing that I want to say about Ed Swanson that I worked for at Sacred Heart. He took over that program when it was nothing and really built it into something. And then obviously, Amy Ruley would tell stories about how she brought a birthday cake to one of the games, one of their first games, and there was enough cake for everybody in the gym. And now they were selling out games, thousands of people coming to the game. So I was really fortunate to work with people that not only were really good at what they did, but were builders. And that's something that I take pride in terms of my own philosophy, in terms of how I coach. I really want to build my people and build tradition and build relationships. And then I did spend 1 year at Virginia Tech when I left Villanova to join the ACC. It was also an incredible experience. And I really feel all those opportunities really prepared me for my first head coaching job. And then I joined Manhattan, like I said, and now it's going into the 10th season, which is crazy.
And what I love is the fact that you had said at NDSU, it was like the first rung of the ladder. And when you're looking at growth, it's all about different steps that you need to take to get to what that big vision looks like. And, you're very fortunate, like you had mentioned, to have unbelievable mentors and experiences to help build you into where you are today. When we come back, we're going to go into a quick break. I want to talk about Manhattan University, what that first day looked like for you and where you started and where you're at now. So we'll be back here shortly on Define the Fight. Hey, welcome back to Define the Fight. We are here with head women's basketball coach Heather Vulin at Manhattan University, and talking about coaching and the different mentorship and leadership and why it's so important, because not only does it help guide you and help individuals become stronger leaders, but it also impacts the individuals that you work with on a daily basis. Now, Heather, stepping into that head coaching position at Manhattan for the first time, there's so many different variables, especially when it comes to college. You didn't recruit any of the athletes that came in. Stepping on the court, what does that look like? There's so many different firsts. There's so many different new experiences. So for you, I want to know what your mentality was on the first day going in and meeting your team for the first time.
Yeah. So fortunately for me, I was able to kind of talk to all the players on the phone um, before the first like actual team meeting. I got to meet a few of them on the in the interview process, but in terms of before my first day, I was really fortunate that I was able to have that time to have like one-on-one conversations with each of them to get to know each of them a little bit better. Even the like you mentioned, even the fresh recruited but were committed to play at Manhattan. And I felt that really just made the whole transition a lot smoother in terms of being able to start building that relationship even before I stepped foot on campus. But it was in a very exciting time, very I do obviously one of the big things I love to do besides coach basketball is I also love to promote women in our game and to help them get that next step and become head coaches. My first assistant is now a head coach at the D1 level that I had here. And I have a couple others that are associate heads or head high school coaches that are definitely in that path to take that next step. Um, so it was really fortunate for me when I got the job here at Manhattan. My AD was actually a female, Marianne Riley, and she's no longer our AD now. I thought she did a wonderful job university. But our second AD that I've worked for now is another woman, Irma Garcia. And for me, as someone that really believes in empowering women, to have my first two ADs as a head coach to work for, to be women, has been tremendous. It definitely fits my belief system in terms of promoting women and empowering women. And it's been cool over these last 9 years. I've had several of my athletes say they want to get into administration, athletic administration, because not so much just seeing a female head coach, but they literally have the head of our department are females. So that's been a really cool transition for us.
Well, absolutely. And then you look at the growth of and the exposure of women's basketball. Okay, let's just throw Caitlin Clark out there. All right. So she brought a
Mhm.
really big light to not only college, but the WNBA. And it's awesome to see that, when you're looking at ticket sales, you're looking at young girls who are now in the gym, probably more than what they were before, playing with the
Mhm.
basketball, shooting, going, and it's like, hey, how can I excel? And to have different mentors, I think is very, very important. So when you look at the females that you have right now, the female athletes, I think it's great that you are helping empower them to be strong leaders as well. What are some different things that you guys do within the community out there, or to make sure that you're reaching young girls from that perspective?
Yeah, so we do a lot of community service. I really believe in it. I believe in it in terms of I'm a servant leader and I'm trying to not raise, but try to teach all my players how to be servant leaders. So that way, when they leave our program, they can kind of pay it forward. Depending, doesn't matter what they decide to do for a career, but just in terms of their approach. So we do a lot of community service as a team, but that's one of the wonderful things about working at a mission-based university like Manhattan. The whole student body doing community service. So we'll have school events school wide. A lot of the different clubs and organizations will have individual events. And then obviously, our team, I think it's really important to be visible in our community. So I would say the most common thing that we do is to go into area elementary schools and we find out from the schools what they would like from us. Do they want us to do a clinic, like a free like basketball clinic? Do they want us to read to the students? Do they want us to come in and tutor the students or just spend time? Or we find out from each school what they're looking for. And then it'll depending on what the schedule is for that day, and we'll go in and just show them these strong amazing women that are competing at the D1 level and are excelling in the classroom. 3 out of the last 4 years, our program has been in the top 25 for overall academics in the Division 1. And we finished with a 3.66 this last season. So I'm very proud of this group, and I love that they love to give back. And then we also, besides being in the elementary schools, we will do food shelves. We'll have certain game nights where we'll want to raise awareness to certain causes or fundraise for certain causes. And then what we try to do too is we try to talk to the team, like what's important to you. All right, what type of service would you like to do? So that way we can really make sure that we're all in this together and supporting each other in terms of the different causes that mean something to us.
I think it's important that you are bringing life curriculum into the team. And I think it's when we look at, okay, when we talk about curriculum, we always think of putting pen to paper, or now everything's pretty much on computers. But life curriculum is something that is the most underestimated in regards to growth, in regards to impact, and all of those different components. So when you're bringing your team to work with young kids in schools, it's amazing because so many kids right now really lack positive mentorship. So also talking about health with kids. All right, so if you want to get on the court, if you want to play basketball, these are the different pieces of the puzzle that are going to be instrumental in regards to your success. But I know that you do a lot of team building as well, because you're going to have a lot of different personalities when you get on the court. And we know as women, we have different visions, and it's important to make sure that everybody's vision is going to be a little bit different, but has to be the same when it comes to the team. What are the team goals? What is the big mission? So I saw your video. I know you spoke about going out and doing Wheel of Fortune with your team. What are some other different things that you do besides community service and doing, going out for events? What do you feel is very, very valuable that might be missing, not necessarily in just college athletics, but in high school, that can help unite a team for a common cause?
Yeah, so some of the other things that we do, I like to have a balance. Like, I feel obviously there's some activities that are more internal growth and really start to drive some thought processes and connections among the teams. And others, like the great big game show that we did last week, are just really be fun and interact as a team and try to win and work together. But some of the things that we like to do with our group is we'll pick a book each year, and that'll be kind of a book that every one of us will read, and then we'll assign like two players to a chapter, and then each week they'll be the person to kind of create an activity to go off that chapter in the book. And usually the books are obviously kind of like team building books, but I like to do activities where the players have to put it together. I think it's really important that when they play for me in this program, that they're learning how to lead, and that's something that I really really care about. I just don't want them to be, great players. I want them to be women that are gonna, want to be challenged in everything they do to be great. And so what I really enjoy about the team activities that I have the players run is you just kind of get to see like what's important to them, kind of just the different connections or the different examples that they use, that maybe you wouldn't have thought of. You know what I mean? So I really enjoy that. And also, too, obviously, sometimes when players come in, they may not be as confident to speak in front of their team or a big group of people. But I feel that's something that our players really excel at, because I do the all the team building and community service. Like, one of the things I love to tell my recruits is that Manhattan University will get you the interview in terms of the quality of education that you'll get here. But playing in our program will win you the interview, because you're going to have those life skills and that empowerment to go into any interview process and knock it out of the park, and really show them that you're not just a basketball player. Because I don't basketball players. I want people that want to be a part of the big picture.
I love that. to win the interview. That's a great
Yeah.
analogy, Heather, and it's strong. And I love what you're doing with more than just the athletes, the wholeness of who they are and who they're going to become to be in acts of service to the world. We're going to go into a
Yeah.
quick break, but I want to dive in a little bit deeper in regards to some of the changes that you have seen in college athletics since you've started. So we'll be back here shortly on Define the Fight. Hey, welcome back to Define the Fight. We are here with Heather Vulin, the head coach of Manhattan University women's basketball team. And what I love about coaches, it's just like with any profession. You've got some great coaches that go out there and just nail it in life. You've got some in between, and the reality is this. Maybe I'm biased, but I don't think I am. My cousin is just knocking it out in life, and she is looking at it from not only a physical component of playing basketball, but the mindset. So the reality is in life, you have to win the battle in your mind before you step foot on the battlefield, or in this case, on the basketball court. Now, I know there's been a lot of different changes when it comes to college athletics. When we were playing sports, we played the passion, the purpose, everything was there. And clearly, whether you're getting another job, you don't have a job in regards to college, it all depends on the individual. But now when it comes to college athletes being able to receive funds, what does that look like? And when did that all come into play, Heather? Because I know you've been in clearly college athletics for however many years. So
Yep.
what do you see from a pros and cons impact when it comes to athletes being paid?
Yeah. So basically, when I got into coaching, pretty much all you could give was, room and board and the academics, like just very basic, right? But as time went on, then they added cost of attendance, which meant a few $1,000s extra each year on top of your scholarship that you could use towards additional needs that you had. Like, they were talking about, hey, some kids can't even afford, even though they're on scholarship, to do their laundry or to fly home to see their family. So they thought this money would be like a nice, like, segue in terms of helping the college athlete. But now it's the NIL, which is name, image, and likeness. And the thought behind name, image, and likeness was Ed O'Banion, or his image on a video game, but he was not getting compensated for it. So he took it to the Supreme Court, and now they call it name, image, and likeness. And so now athletes are able to broker deals. Um, they can have an agent, but they can broker deals on their behalf to use their name, image, and likeness to make money. Um, and now, on top of that, they can also, it's basically pay for play. All right. Basically, it's called an NIL collective, where these collectives can raise money and say, hey, if you come play for us, we'll give you X amount of dollars. And you can sign a 1-year contract, a 2-year contract, whatever. But you have to play them. And if they do need you to advertise something or do an appearance, then that's how you would get paid, or to be able to receive your money. Okay. So right now, it is hard. Like, initially, when you would start recruiting conversations, you would like introduce yourself, you a player, and really try to tell them what a Manhattan University experience would be like. But now, you really have to be prepared to find out, or have players ask, like, what is the package? Like, on top of the scholarship, what else would I be offered if I came to play for you? Okay. So obviously for our school, we're a mid-major, low mid-major school. We don't quite have the resources, or have the fundings like maybe like some Power Four schools or football schools would have, in terms of like revenue sharing, to be able to provide additional monies on top of the scholarship or cost of attendance. Okay.
Yep.
And then because the NIL, they changed the transfer rules. Okay. And for the transfer rules, when I first got into this, you could transfer, but then you'd have to sit a full season before you could play again. All right. So most college athletes would get a 5 year clock to play 4 years. Okay. So that way, if I was at school A and transferred to school B, I get to play 4 seasons. But once my clock started, I would have the 5 years, right? Um, but now they changed the transfer rule because they felt that it was unfair to the student athlete to be stuck at the same school or to have to sit for a full year. So now you can transfer as many times as you want. And with that, now players can be like, hey, I was at this school, I made this much money this year, but now that I had a great season, my stock has gone up. I could go in the portal and go make more money. So you look at the portal now, I believe in women's basketball, we had over 1,000 student athletes in the portal for Division 1. All
Wow.
right. And not every one of them found a spot. All right. I want to say close to 40% did not land back in Division 1. Like they ended up going to a lower level if they did keep playing. Okay. So it definitely has changed. It definitely has made recruiting feel a little bit more transactional versus like, hey, this is where you want to spend your next 4 years. Where at our level, to give you an example, in the MAC, 8 of our top 10 players that made first team, second team transferred out, okay, of our league after having great seasons and being recognized as all conference players. And top kid that was our player of the year, I've heard she got $300,000 to go to a different school for just one season. And there's no one in our league that can afford to match that.
So when you look at the fact of playing to get paid, I'm just
Mhm.
going to be honest, right? So it doesn't mean that the passion isn't there, but now it shifts the purpose. And that's kind of a
Yeah.
scary thing. It's like, well, how much can I make? This is about making money
Yeah.
now, and it's a business instead of a true like, hey, this is what I want, this is my
Yeah.
grit, so on and
Well,
so forth. But I mean, I understand that people want to see value in regards to what they're bringing to the table, but at the same
yeah, and
point,
and so
go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, my thing is the idea of name, image, and likeness. I agree with. If you're selling a kid's jersey with their name on the back, they should get something for that.
I agree.
All right. If you're having a kid go to a car dealership and people are coming to that car dealership just to see her because she's such a great player, she should get something for that. But the issue I'm having right now is the NIL collectives where we're just basically asking boosters for money, all right, to try to secure a prospect.
Yeah.
And that's the pay to play I don't like. The idea of the name, image, and likeness, like I don't think that's fair that a video company is making money off of of, of people's images and jerseys on a game when they're not getting anything from it. So I just feel like it's little bit of the Wild West right now.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think we can sustain this. I know I saw President Trump did an executive order the other day, taking away the booster raising money versus the NIL, where they can still like companies to promote things for with using their name, image, and likeness. So I'm not sure how far that will advance, if that will be the thing that kind of like calms it down. But like just to give you an example, the NBA draft had the fewest number of people in it this year. Okay. Because so many draft eligible players that normally would have tried to go in the draft are going to make more money staying in
Staying in
college
college. Yep.
to play basketball. To play basketball.
Well, and that's the thing is
Like some of these top guys are getting over $1 million
it's crazy,
for
but what
one season.
and when you look at that, one thing will impact another. It's always a ripple effect, right? So when you look at the fact of now
Yeah.
players being able to get paid, and like you had said, X amount of money, and they're getting paid more in college, now it's going to impact the NBA. So if the NBA starts losing so much money and they're not getting the players that, there's just different shifts that start occurring. And then you look at the fact of too, when you look at tournament time, you're not going to see necessarily as many upsets as what we used to see in the past, where it's like, I'm rooting for the underdog. It's like, let's go. And now this
Yes.
really impacts those potential shifts when it comes to tournaments, when it comes to outcomes, so on and so forth. But
Well,
go ahead.
to give you an example, so Florida men won the tournament this year. All right. Their best player started in our conference.
Hmm.
All right. Will Clayton Jr. was in our conference in the MAC, was an all conference player in our conference. But with the NIL, he's originally from Florida. He's like, hey, I might as well go back home and make some money.
Right.
All right. So, like, what you did see is there's a lot of mid major players that after they became all conference player of the year for mid majors are now on these Final Four teams, and they're basically for hire.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy to look at the different shifts, but at the same point too, there's pros and cons. I get it. There's a lot of pros for the athlete where they're being able to see a return on investment on their time. But my biggest concern when it comes to different components is, all right, why did you start in the first place? Was it for the money?
Mm-hmm.
Was it for the passion? So we're going to go into a quick break, Heather, but when we come back, I want to talk more about Manhattan University and your big vision for the long haul. So we'll be back here shortly on Define the Fight. Hey, welcome back to Define the Fight. We are here with Heather Vulin. And Heather, I know that it takes an army to really work with a lot of individuals to have a successful program. I want to make sure that you're able to give a shout out to your coaching staff, because I know they're very instrumental in regards to helping everything, whether it's success, mindset, the physical component, because sometimes athletes will come to one coach versus the other because of that rapport, but because of that connection. So who would you like to share in regards to your staff that really have left an impact, not only on you, but on the team?
Yeah, so I've been very blessed. My associate head coach right now, Callan Taylor Stores, has been with me the entire time I've been at Manhattan. She started as my grad assistant and has worked her way up to be our associate head coach these last few years, and she's absolutely phenomenal. And the thing that I love to share about her is I recruited her out of high school. All right, I recruited her when I was still working at Sacred Heart. Unfortunately, the year she was starting at Sacred Heart, I had the incredible opportunity to go to Villanova. So I never actually got to coach her. But with the whole recruiting process, as you know, as you can tell, I'm very relationship based. We still kind of stayed in touch, her and her family and I. So she went on, had an incredible career at Sacred Heart. And then it worked out the year she wanted to retire is with the year I got Manhattan. And what I love about working with Callan is that she's an absolute winner. Things that I look for when I hire people is I always say that the attributes I'm looking for in my coaches are my first recruits. All right. Because if I'm not setting the example, or our staff is not setting the example of how we want to handle things and carry ourselves, then it's going to be really hard to lead our players. But Callan's an absolute winner, just really, really talented, really dynamic, someone that really builds incredible relationships with our players, works with our post players, has done an absolute phenomenal job. Also works with our international recruiting, which is a big part of what we do, and is our defensive coordinator. And we're usually one of the top defensive teams in the league year in and year out. And I have to just give credit to Callan for everything that she brings to the table. Just an absolute winner. And that's things like when I recruit, if I don't feel that vibe when I watch them play or when I talk to them on the phone, like if winner's not one of the first three words that I would use to describe a recruit or a potential staff member, then that's not the right fit for me. Like I think obviously you can lead, but you also have to find people that just have that to be great. Like I can help maximize it, but I think it's really important that you find people that just have that desire to be great. Okay.
Oh,
And I
100%.
think I've been really fortunate.
100%. It's
I'm
like
sorry.
when it comes to mindset, you can help people build. Same with,
Yeah.
resilience, so on and so forth. But they are the individuals that have to take the action, right? So here's the
Yeah.
tools. Now you get to be the creator of what you want to fulfill
Yeah.
or make with those tools. Now, besides athletes, right? So you look at kids, athletes, all demographics.
Mhm.
What are some tips that you would share, or a tip that you would share to individuals to really step into their stronger self?
Yeah, I would say take some time to really figure out what do you want. I think sometimes, like, one of the questions I always ask my recruits is, when did you know you wanted to be a basketball player? And then what about basketball do you love? All right. Because I have found in my time as a coach, as a player, that sometimes people are just doing something because they're good at it, but there's really not an internal love for it. Like, they may like the recognition for it, or they're want to keep their parents happy or the community happy because they're good at it. But I think it really starts with that individual person. Like, what do you really want? And then once you know what you want, then that's when you can really make decisions and choices that will get you to where you want to go. But I think in this culture right now, big thing I try to talk to my players about immediately in the whole recruiting process is you really got to be conscious of your social media presence. I think, right now, players and student athletes are given the tools to the internet, and they may think something they post when they were 12 may never come up again. And so, just obviously, like we talked about, the name, image, and likeness, like, you do have to protect your brand.
A
you,
hundred,
you do have to make sure that what you post or repost is a reflection of you, and not something that, as a college coach or an admissions counselor or a potential boss, would be able to be like, I don't think I want that in my program.
100%. Well, Heather, I want to thank you for jumping on Define the Fight, because you know what? Until you define the fight, how do you expect to win the fight? So make sure you
Yes.
guys check out Manhattan University women's basketball, because you know what?
Oh,
Clearly, they've got a great coach, Heather Vulin, and you know what? It's all about getting out there and defining your fight in life. So thank you, Heather, so much for joining me today.